Great job by Andre Q, but nobody can touch! Oh, no way! Lebda so far has proven to be one of the best pairs.
This is something that this region is known for.
Oh! No way Hybrid hit that shot!
Nothing short of magnificent. No! He's trick shotting!
I mean, what an exciting time.
From this moment, welcome to Overwatch Contenders.
Welcome back, everybody, with the second match of the day. Obviously, we're just getting started with the playoffs, but we're headed down to the losers bracket. First of all, with PEPS, obviously, classic fan favorite, versus SrPeakCheck, which has slowly worked their way up into being a bit more of a renowned team, obviously, with LH Cloudy in the lineup. But for PEPS' side, obviously, this is going to be a very, very close and intriguing matchup in the lower brackets with tournament lives on the line.
Are we going to just see the Reinhardt compositions, though, coming through from LH Cloudy? We've seen in Overwatch League when London stuck to their guns and kept Hardy on the Reinhardt, he did return to the form of Chatty. So it is entirely possible. The problem is that Reinhardt has some significant counters at the moment. The Ramatra being one of them, the Winston another, the fact that you can just get jumped over. So it's going to be pretty problematic given the fact that Team PEPS have one of the best Winstons in the EMEA region at their back and core. They have crammed up, and we've seen him in EXO, we've seen him in Team PEPS, we've seen him turn fights around almost entirely on his own with some of those massive primals. I'm thinking right back to that primal on Colosseum where he's almost able to juggle 3 people off all at once. He's an absolute standout tank player in this region.
He is, yeah, and Team PEPS, obviously, I mean, they have a lot of, like you said, known figures. Krondop, obviously, you got Naga, Hybrid, Eclipse, Cronus. I mean, these guys are all well known in the scene, and obviously for good reason. Like, this team in previous, iterations of Contenders has performed up to expectations. I think this season's a bit of maybe of a slump season for them so far, but we've seen teams make lower bracket runs before, and they took a map off of Twisted Minds, which is not a very common thing to do, especially in this time of year when Twisted Minds are looking so dominant. Meanwhile, for the other side, SrPeakCheck has had a bit of a interesting run so far. I think that overall for them to be in the lower bracket, maybe from the outside would be surprising, but for them, I think the regular season went pretty well for the side of SrPeakCheck.
I mean, the most surprising thing at the moment is that LH Cloudy is not on DPS role. We're not going to see the Reaper shenanigans come out from them on Control this time around. No, he is going to be sticking on that Reinhardt, most likely wanting to really anchor the team down as that tank and just play as aggressive as he wants. As we can have a look at the standings and see where exactly all of those teams have found themselves. Twisted Minds officially remaining undefeated, 11-0. They are looking to break the record that EXO were able to set up last year, and they're definitely well on their way to being able to do that.
Yeah, and a lot of these teams have played each other pretty much overall. So as you see, like the top 6 teams all went positive win rate. That's kind of like surprising, I guess, compared to a lot of more traditional, setups where you see usually that half of the team, half of the matchups, you don't see a lot of these, high win rates and high success rates. Meanwhile, SrPeakCheck, obviously that 5 seed, to drop down below now in this matchup versus PEPS. Moxie, is this the position that they would want to be in for the side of SrPeakCheck? Do they want to be against PEPS running Cloudy on the Rhine and maybe mixing that up? Do you think PEPS is ready for SrPeakCheck's intriguing gameplay?
So I think SrPeakCheck, it's a good thing that they are up against this team to a point. The problem for them is that Naga can actually flex onto something like an Echo. And there's a reason that we've seen these teams that really do center around Reinhardt struggle against things like the Pharah and the Echo, because not only does, like the Pharah, the Echo have that aerial mobility to move around the Reinhardt shield, she also has that primary beam, which is going to be able to chunk that Reinhardt shield down incredibly quickly if it's below 50%. Because not only does it take your health down lower if you're below 50% as a player, it also applies to shields as well.
Nepal will be our first map, and like you said, the Echo could be a prevalent hero in this one. Obviously, Nepal, we've seen teams, mix things up. Haven't seen a lot of conformality. What's the word for this, Moxie? It's just like a continual, set up of compositions. We've seen a lot of Sombra, we've seen a lot of Tracer, but we know in EMEA, teams just like to play basically everything.
Yeah, established, I'd say. We haven't really seen a set-in-stone meta come through. It very much does feel like these teams have favorite compositions. And if you have favorite teams, 1 in chat if you're a Team PEPS believer, 2 in chat if you're an SrPeakCheck supporter, this might potentially be a long match as well between these two. Because like you've said, all of these teams at this point have now played each other. They've been able to have 3 weeks to look over the VODs and prepare for these matches. So they're going to understand, especially going up against the likes of, Twisted Minds, Triple Esports, and SrPeakCheck, who again do curve away from the meta with that Reinhardt pick. They've now had a little bit of time to really settle into a counter.
I mean, that's the tough part, obviously, why PEPS are now here in the lower bracket is they're against Twisted Minds. And it seems like for them, no matter if you know what they're going to play, it's super hard to counter them, obviously, to take off that map. Coming into Nepal versus SrPeakCheck, you know exactly what they're going to do. PEPS maybe opt to just mirror it, even.
Yeah, I think a problem for both these teams is the Pharaoh composition because, they don't, LH Cloudy doesn't really have a diva. He's a Reinhardt through and through. Crowdup has a little bit more flexibility, but if both of these teams do want to just go for that full mirror, Team PEPS understand that SrPeakCheck are going to run the Reinhardt, and they decide to play into it. It's a full mirror.
Hey, Krondop has been talking about his Rein, and we've seen it previously. He's a super good Reinhardt player. They rotate already towards the health pack. Dan's already down, though, the Krondop. Hybrid also gets him, and Cloudy charge. Is this just common occurrence? Cloudy getting a charge off onto Naga, but, does fall in that fight. PEPS will win the first one.
I tell you what, Hardy's got an air. That's for sure. LH Cloudy charging in, finding a pick. Is able to immediately take down Hybrid as well, so the Symmetra isn't able to challenge his shield either as SrPeakCheck. Just gonna rotate to point.
Yeah, they rotate to point relatively safely, honestly. They're all over there on the point as well as the entire lineup. Hoops coming from Cronus from the top side. Both Mays using their wall towards the point. Cronus still trying to find some value, but they actually give up the point first, even though PEPS won the first fight. They're in a bit of a sticky situation against this Symmetra. Immortality field used. Boop off the map onto Hybrid. Nice job from Dala, but it's Krondop with the Shatter at very low HP to connect onto 2. Cloudy, though. Fire strike across the map. Oh my god, almost didn't make it across that cavern with the May wall from Naga, but now he's onto the backline. Cronus getting booped away from Dala. Almost gets the kill on him, but no, it's LH Cloudy to fall on the inside. Naga won that kill on the inside. I think we're in for an intriguing match because PEPS now have claimed the point back.
Like I told you, mind games coming through from both of these teams. It is going to be Team PEPS, like you said, in control of this point at the moment. Cloudy super close to that Shadow. Crowdup just having used it. So Cloudy knows if he does drop the hammer, there's no chance of being countered.
SrPeakCheck now walk into the point, but now they teleport actually on the outside. It's Standard again and getting picked off from Naga as the Amp Matrix was utilized from PEPS' side as well as a Symmetra wall, countering Ghost's ultimate on the point. And SrPeakCheck did get the flip again, though, so they had it back in their favor. Clip's trying to heal up Krondop. Now a Blizzard has to be used again. Charge off the map from LH Cloudy, but it's into a Shatter as well from him. Does he have the follow-up? Unfortunately not. It's Hybrid, who is still alive and pumping out that damage. But SrPeakCheck doing decent on the board percentage-wise, even though they've lost more team fights than won.
Yeah, a good stall coming through. Did cost them that sound barrier, however, so Team PEPS are going to have that to allow Krondop to go as aggressive as he wants in this next fight, as well as Immortality Field. Saved up for Fi's Blizzard. They're anticipating that Symmetra TP onto the point, so they're not going too far into that choke either.
Hey, well, already early from Naga. Fine, on the other side, does have his Blizzard towards the point. Symmetra wall used as well from Danet. Looking for a May wall towards the point, but in fact, just looking around on that point for the Lucio, who's trying to touch, and yet again, SrPeakCheck captures the point. PEPS don't want to come through. Krondop still has the Shatter as well as they dive onto Naga on this left side. Immortality field used, so is the beat drop here on the left side. That gives them a bit of sustain as Ghost doesn't have his amplification matrix just yet. Cloudy tried to rotate to the point, but he's taken out by Team PEPS as they Symmetra teleport out of the Blizzard of the point. So Team PEPS are still here. However, SrPeakCheck flipped that point and have gotten it already up to 75%, even though they haven't won any of these team fights, Moxie.
Yeah, because they've just been TPing past Team PEPS, taking control of the point. SrPeakCheck can't walk into them, and as a result, they just TP out immediately afterwards, and they just keep that attention focused onto them. Team PEPS now have to try to stall. They've got the Shatter to work with SrPeakCheck no ultimate, and this is the adaptation we wanted to see. PEPS sitting on that point, not allowing SrPeakCheck to get that easy flip.
Yeah, they've made some adjustments. Krondop coming over here. We'll see if it works out for them. SrPeakCheck, we didn't expect that to happen. Symmetra turrets fighting each other on the left side as the teleport comes through. Team PEPS runs away from the point, but SrPeakCheck, knowing that, tries to rotate to it, but now they're into a Symmetra wall. Maywall tried to save 5, but it's not enough to save him from Cronus on the left side. PEPS still have pretty solid point control. SrPeakCheck going for a fast reset.
Oh, Krondop so close to using that shatter onto the support lineup, but they don't need it.
Frozen.
It's the May Blizzard that catches the Reinhardt, and without a tank, Krondop's free to bring the hammer down.
And 98-99, nobody else is here to touch, and PEPS will win round number 1.
So I'm almost disappointed that we didn't get control center between these two teams on Lijiang, but honestly, I'm just super happy to see Symmetra actually being used with teleporters past initially out of spawn to get on the point faster.
So you're a Symmetra fan, is what you're saying, Mox? You like seeing the
I
Symmetra
never get to see it. Everyone always just goes, okay, well, we'll use the original spawn teleport and then we're done. Between these plays coming through here and the Eternals Symmetra TP on Shambali yesterday, Symmetra TP setups have been eating well today, that's for sure.
For sure. And I think, like, obviously, Symmetra is, like, one of the only characters, I think, in the cast that can actually do, like, a 2vx, you know? Like, even a 1 versus X, right? Just winning those clutches. We see a lot of Symmetras with high charge, too. Now they both teleport to spawn, and Moxie, you're getting your wish yet again. Both Symmetras locking in this matchup on Village, and both teams kind of looking at each other at the moment at the same angle, mirroring the exact matchup around the pillar. Neither team wanting to rotate to the point first. In fact, it's PEPS maybe baiting rotation towards that point. The teleporter goes through to the point after that cooldown comes off for Danid. So nice job by SrPeak to make the rotation. Hybrid tries to teleport to the backside. It's a bit of a bait, though. They actually just walk in through main. The Maywall not perfect on the side, but Krondop is the one to fall first. The Cloudy, after the Immortality Field was used in both Symmetras, very high charge, but it's Danid come out on top, and SrPeakCheck have the point under the control first.
Good wall from Fire as well, forcing that Immortality Field from Team PEPS incredibly early so they don't have it when SrPeakCheck actually send that flanking Symmetra right into their backline. As SrPeakCheck now going to be able to sit on this composition and sit around this point. Team PEPS are not going to be able to teleport and instantly grab control the way that we saw the teams do yesterday.
Knowing that, they come through the top side of the point and then drop together as a unit. Maybe look for the pickoffs with the May. We've seen it done before. SrPeakCheck, though, still have hard point control. Danid close to building this Metro, but Naga on the other side has that Blizzard as well in a second as they have to deal with Danid on that flank with the turrets, but he does go back towards the rest of his team. We'll see who's the first to build ultimates. Looks like both the May and the Symmetra will. In fact, no, it's actually both supports on the side of SrPeakCheck with their ultimates. Playing around the point, though, knowing that Naga has the Blizzard. They try to avoid it, but it's hard for Danid too until the Symmetra wall comes through, but it's Krondop to find 5. Also, it uses his shield to zone off the amplification matrix on the backside, and now it's a perfectly placed Maywall as well for PEPS. They finally come back into this point with some clean ult usage, and will flip it.
Brilliant Blizzard from Naga, putting themselves onto that point, allowing Krondop to just swing the hammer onto all of those frozen targets with very little that SrPeakCheck was able to do, as Team PEPS can now start to build a percentage of their own. SrPeakCheck are able to stall to 62, they're looking for a fast engage.
Whoa. Dala got picked up by Krondop on that engage too. It looked like Cronus hit him as well on the engage, maybe chipped him off a little bit. Nice Blizzard to zone off that backline. It's a Symmetra wall from Hybrid to potentially run away from, but a shatter, solo shatter from Krondop onto Ghost works out until he loses his life, and there's already so much on the board for SrPeakCheck, but it's Eclipse to find Danid. The shatter comes through on Naga, but a perfect beat drop from Cronus. His timing has been impeccable. The rest of PEPS now rotate around Fire on the point as SrPeakCheck still have that point of control. It's, oh my god, Cloudy with a rando charge from across the map. Eventually, Dala will fall to Hybrid, and PEPS will recontrol that point.
Oh, that sound barrier saved it for PEPS. Like you said, Cloudy, knowing that he can't actually go for the full charge, commits the Fire Strike to trying to take out those targets brought low. And Cronus is able to actually hit that sound barrier, as we can have a look at a replay on the pin. LH Cloudy able to find the Baptiste, but unfortunately not a lot else, as PEPS now in control with the Symmetra.
And then now they've already rotated to the point really fast, even during that replay. Now the Ant Matrix is out from Eclipse, has to use the Immortality to save him. Naga dies as well at the point after getting his Blizzard off, but Ghost is frozen, enabling Hybrid on the flank to find both supports. Even though they flipped the point, they win this fight next. And this is like what we saw last round. SrPeakCheck controlling the objective, but PEPS winning the team fights.
I mean, all of these teams just want to go for these really fast rotations. They figured out that where this composition is at its most vulnerable is in those moments where you have to reposition. That's why we're seeing the Symmetra TPs, the fact that they will wait for that TP to be on cooldown every single time they want to change angle, so no one has to leave the safety of the Rhine shield.
Look where Krondrop is. He wants to fight at the choke. Goes for the charge early. Oh my god. Perfect immortality throw from Ghost. But they're against the Blizzard as well, or against their Symmetra wall here as well. Cloudy goes for the Shatter to save things on the recontest. Now they walk through the point having 99%. They got those 2 kills. As it's just a Lucio and a Mei. The wall off on the left side. The charge through as well into Naga. Can't fully kill him over there. Cronus has to delay. Has his life. And he's still able to live. The Shatter from Krondop, but it's immediately met by a Mei Ice Block. Ghost also gets those 2 kills. And SrPeakCheck eventually whittle down Team PEPS after getting it to 99%. You have Naga coming through to touch this point and delay, but eventually he falls. SrPeakCheck now looking to kill the staggering targets, the targets of Team PEPS to bring us to that round number 3.
Oh, perfect timing as well on the Blizzard. Krondop, because it's overtime, can't actually go for the play that Rhines do to avoid getting frozen by Blizzard, which is just charge through. Because if he charges through, he stops touching the point, he stops contesting, and Team PEPS are going to see themselves going to that 3rd map anyway. And like we said, we're going to be in for a long series today, Dustin. I think there's a lot of maps of Overwatch because both of these teams are absolutely exemplary at running this composition. And it's so good to see the Rhine mind games come through from both Krondop and Cloudy.
Yeah, maybe we have to see if they decide to mix it up on the next round. I doubt it though, from based on what we've seen so far, just running constant Symmetra in these fights. What an interesting last fight as well from Team PEPS, and at the end it kind of resulted in them losing Village.
Well, no swap off the sim just yet, so both of these teams are trying to get on to that point as quickly as possible and set those turrets up to start eating into that Rhine Shield's health bar.
Early Mei wall from Vi on the side of SrPeakCheck. Danny goes incredibly low. Still has those heals though. Immortality build used from PEPS' side. That is an important cooldown because they have to back up now, but a nice Mei wall from Naga to stop Cloudy from going aggressive. Forces the ice block as well. Cooldowns utilized in that fight, but Cloudy's the one taking a big amount of damage. It's Dandit though on the other side to find Krondop, who was attempting to make his way towards that point. They eventually will give it up as well as SrPeakCheck take control first.
And it is going to be SrPeakCheck now getting to spam these angles, both with Danette on that Symmetra and Fi on that Mei. But Team PEP's going to be avoiding a massive brunt of that damage with that Sim TP if they choose to take from the high ground onto Central Point.
PEPS now walk in. Naga does have that mail, like I said, and Ghost does have Ant Matrix at the back towards the Elephant side as Hybrid sets up his turrets. He's now walking into that Ant Matrix, but it's 5 to find Cronus on that early pick with the Ant Matrix. The defensive Blizzard doesn't catch anybody out. It does get Cloudy in such a weird position. He eventually falls, trying to get to the health pack, but it's Ghost over the top side to get the kill. The Immortality, or the Ant Matrix from the top was countered from them, and a nice Blizzard as well picks off Krondop. 43% of the board already for SrPeakCheck. PEPS now have to back out.
Yeah, he tries to charge out of it, but unfortunately he's still caught in the freeze, and as a result, Team PEPS lose that tank. They'll have Shatter for this next fight, but not Amplification Matrix to set that crossfire up. All those fire strikes, since they've actually tried to mirror Ghost's own. This is where we see the Rhine mind games. Whose ultimate is going to find more value?
Up, now walking to the left, and we have to pay attention to the shield at the moment if we want the answer to that question, Moxie. Both Cloudy and Krondop shield management is going to be very important here. Krondop staying at 1200, meanwhile Cloudy kind of having to switch back and forth. Maywall's used on both sides. We'll see if either Reinhardt decides to shatter. Nope, both just understanding this is a very important fight to win. They need to be perfect with the shatters. Neither team wants to commit just yet. SrPeakCheck totally fine as hanging on the point, but they go first! What a shatter from LH Cloudy! 90% now on the board. He wins it and types the tank diff for sure in chat, right?
I'm waiting for the emote. I'm waiting for the chest bump and the hammer lift emote. Oh my goodness, Cloudy just brought the entirety of Team PEPS and the house down. It's SrPeakCheck. What a way to take the first control map. What a Reinhardt. What a Chad.
I've almost passed out from that. You know how there's like streamers that like once you scream too loud after sitting for so long you pass out? That was actually just such an insane shatter from Cloudy at the end. And also here as well, I mean earlier on Hybrid obviously getting the player of the MVP of the previous rounds getting to play the game. But, you know, obviously, it's the man that you saw die in that fight, actually. And then at the very end, with a fantastic shatter to end the hopes of PEPS on Nepal.
So good. The timing as they're just about to come around the corner. And like you said, both of those Rhines know that Shatter is in play for each of the other because they're playing around those corners. They're even going for those Mei cooldowns. And that's the moment, that's when you think, okay, surely when one of those pillars is going to break, one of those Rhines is going to go for that surprise element of the Shatter. They're both ready. They're both waiting for it. No one does. And we go back to that so tense atmospheric moment where both of those Reinhardts are just waiting to have to lift that shield, and Cloudy plays the tenseness. He's got the violin in his hand, the really scary fiddle twangs just starting to come on through, and then the hammer. Oh, it's such a good moment for the Rhine.
Beautiful for them, and also very interesting so far for this series. I mean, obviously, SrPeakCheck on previous rounds were just continually trying to touch the point, but not really winning team fights until they went to Village and then eventually Sanctum, like I said. And then also, actually, I have to bear in mind, similarly to the last match, you know how there was a lot of drama going on back and forth. Same thing, obviously. Both of these Rhine players are both talking to each other. We have LH Cloud and Crondup going at it, not only in-game, but also they're going at it verbally with each other in the chat. To be honest, I think it's fair to say that Cloudy did win that match. Number one, Crondup, fantastic Rhine in his own right. Obviously, take up that matchup with LH Cloudy. That's a big hill to climb. You know, like you said, with Hottie and Overwatch League, I'd say that Cloudy, rather than being, you know, the predecessor, or the successor to Hottie, he's really been like one of the OGs. Cloudy just kind of leaned into being that Rhine player. I think he was originally a very flexible player who could play a lot of different tanks and tried to flex over to Winston and stuff at times, but I don't know if it was just his streamer personality or what. Man's just been locking the Rhine for feels like years now, and really nobody's been able to match him.
Yeah, and it's just really good to see as well that the archetype Rhine, who sometimes in certain metas, right, would be forced away from that pick, finally getting to go back to his roots and really make this tank work. We've seen what happens when teams have this niche hero that they want to be able to play, but they always get dictated by the meta. Like, no, Reinhardt's not meta. Don't play him. Don't play him. There are so many better options in tier list. He's practically at the bottom. No, if you can play the Reinhardt to that capability, you force the other team into that mirror. And that is when you're going to be able to find your value, because like you said, Crondup has worked on his Reinhardt, but he's predominantly known for his Winston and his Bull. So even though when we talk to him sometimes too, like we ask, hey, do you feel like it's better to just play your comfort pick? A lot of the times the answer when we talk to these players say, well, I'm not going to play something that I'm not able to do. And I think the best example of that is actually KSA. KSA never plays the Reinhardt. He always sticks to what he wants to be able to play, what he knows that he can play. And when we ask him, are you ever going to go for the mirror? He says, why am I going to try and mirror something that these guys have hours and hours and years of experience on when I know that I can beat them if I'm playing what I know I can play?
I think that's the outcome of maybe the pendulum swinging the other way, right? I think everybody, you know, has kind of overall overemphasized in Overwatch 2 flexibility. You know, everybody just wants to be the most flexible player ever, and really this allows teams to kind of maybe take advantage of just being super good at certain heroes. Obviously, like Cloudy on the Rhine, like you mentioned, and, you know, on the opposite side for Crondup, he plays the Wrecking Ball, plays the Winston. So we're watching a bit of a flexible tank player versus you just have the hardcore Reinhardt player that's just, you know, he's going to play every single time. And Cloudy's been bringing it, honestly. You know, I think, like I mentioned in the chat, I think Cloudy did kind of feed at times, and Crondup made sure to point it out. Typed in chat, he said, you know, you look a little shaky, Mount number 1, man. You were feeding a little bit there, but, you know, every time Cloudy feeds, I feel like twice that he always comes out on top in like the fights that happen later.
Yeah, this is why, by the way, I think we're going to get a really long matchup between these two teams, because Ryan, this is also why London has suffered in a predetermined map pool. they are hampered by the map type that gets picked. There are certain maps where you can get away with the Reinhardt. There are certain maps where it's really problematic to be able to try and force it. And so we're going to see this sort of tug of war between both of these teams. When SrPeakCheck lose a map, they're going to take us somewhere Rein is strong. When Team PEPS lose a map, they're going to take us somewhere where either a Winston or a Wrecking Ball or even a Diva is going to be able to flourish. So no surprises as we head towards Hybrid. It's not going to be King's Row popping up, it's going to be Blizzard World, where there's such a huge focus on that dive capability of being able to flank around the side of the point and take the high ground away from the defense.
Where do those minerals go? I'm wondering. I mean, Moxie, you know, is it a little bit of, is it fair to say, by the way, hashtag OWPTP, make sure 2023, make sure to use our hashtag if you want to be part of the conversation. Moxie, is it fair to say, considering PEPS are looking at changing their composition, is it fair to say that Cloudy won the Rein matchup? Map number 1?
I mean, it's definitely fair to say that we're probably going to be looking at a changed up composition. I was not expecting this kind of changed up composition. Like I said, Naga is a very flexible DPS player known for an echo, but also known to be able to flex onto that Pharah. So Team PEPS, they're expecting something like the Reinhardt. I talked about it at the very beginning. These teams have been struggling to deal with Twisted Minds and Triple because the Rein is so weak against the Pharah matchup, and Team PEPS are going to lean into it.
Brought up doing a little bit of scouting at the choke and the Doomfist as well with him too, showing that we talked about his flexibility, playing it as well. Cloudy waiting in spawn with the rest of his team, maybe opting to change things up fine, obviously like on the cast to counter it. They're waiting for him to come back, and now they have Danit on the Sombra to counter Krondop.
Problem is, if Fire isn't able to land these shots onto Naga, LH Cloudy is going to have absolutely nothing to do but hold that shield up as this team walks point.
Yeah, we'll see if the cast can actually counter like it has previously as they go inside to avoid the storm that's happening currently on this Blizzard World map. Krondop peeks real quick, a little bit of jump scare on the inside as SrPeakCheck rotate all the way around. Danid's already there with the hack on a Krondop bound below, and Fi counters Naga. Great pick from him, now looks for that backline, and Cloudy's also there. Resurrect from Cronus is here, but it's not after. Eclipse is gone, no Resurrect here either. Cronus goes incredibly low because Danid and Ghost take him out, and now you just have this Pharah on the point dealing with Ghost as well. Bit of a soft counter in his own right, giving a very fast first point take for SrPeakCheck.
Perfect tempo for SrPeakCheck. That's why we actually saw the Sombra swap come through. It's not to do with the Pharah, it's to do with the Doom. So Krondop isn't actually able to punch forward, create that distraction focus so that Naga and Cronus can actually find those picks onto Fi, who on this patch is not on 225 health. He can be two-tapped by that Pharah with that extra damage coming through from the Mercy boost, but as a result, Fi doesn't get that movement to worry about the Pharah. He gets to shoot first.
Yeah, looking out that right side now, Fi trying to get that value. Hack comes through and a Krondop again at the pillar side. Does get that cooldown back up after the hack runs out though. Just immediately counters that Sombra on the left side. But Hybrid gets counter-hacked by his counterpart on the Sombra on the low ground as Danid sets up on that left side flank as Krondop also has to deal with Cloudy. Naga really not able to find a kill just yet, but maybe he's setting up for an EMP barrage play. There it is from Hybrid. Doesn't even need the barrage to follow up here, just able to shoot the rockets in SrPeakCheck as they were hit by a massive EMP from Hybrid.
Yeah, barrage is still just a little bit too vulnerable a move to make even after an EMP, since it runs out so fast. If you get lammed and then Fi is able to land that shot onto Naga, Rez is going to be in cooldown and Cronus is going to be in an incredibly vulnerable position. So sending Krondop in as the aftermath, absolutely the right decision, as Cloudy is off the Reinhardt and onto the Zarya just to try and bubble through some of this poke damage that's coming through from the Pharah rockets.
Well, I will say we have seen a lot of Zarya out of LH Cloudy previously. High noon as well from 5, but no bubble isn't there in time. Naga gets the nano boost, jumps down onto the cast to make sure he's down before that. Now the bubbles are all out, although now they're committing ultimates. SrPeakCheck, use the EMP, use Amp Matrix, use Beat Drop. They do get Naga in that fight. Also, the Valkyrie can't go inside and get the Resurrect, but it's Eclipse who goes aggressive to pick off Dala as well on the inside, and SrPeakCheck's a bit split at the moment. Cloudy's towards the cart, Fi now above on the high ground. PEPS trying to deal with SrPeakCheck, but they just can't. Ghost has been an absolute fragger so far on the Baptiste. Finds Krondop with his own DPS support gameplay. Now rotates with the rest of his team against the barrage. He can't survive though. Even with the Immortality Field, Naga gets Cloudy out of the fight. Now you're down your tank. Does SrPeakCheck now go for the reset Moxie, or do they try to survive on the inside?
The problem is Team PEPS aren't going to allow them to make that decision. They are essentially strangled in this choke until they deal with so much of this Pharah damage. Krondop coming back in on the Winston to be able to jump back and help the rest of his team as Cloudy goes on to the Diva to add another thorn into the side of the pharmacy. Given that Fire's off of that traditional hit scan, that counter removed, they have to field a different.
Oh my god, almost sneaking the payload under the noses of Team PEPS. They could have got it through. 1.37 meters left. Cloudy drops through on the bottom. Almost built that nano boost. Is Eclipse fine? Finds Cronus as well as dealing with Cloudy on the high ground, who is now on that Diva. 5 on the Tracer. 2 kills for him. Cloudy finds Eclipse, and SrPeakCheck will cap. Moving on to third.
And Team PEPS still going to be able to run the Pharah for a little bit if they so choose, but no, deciding to go straight for the Tracer now that a ceiling comes into play, and with Cloudy as well, with that Diva on the boosters, able to just use that one cooldown to be able to instantly make it to that Pharah. So as a result, Pharah's been forced to swap. Out comes the Reinhardt.
Cloudy on the Rhine. I can't tell if this is a chess matchup, Moxie, or if this is a former chess matchup where the players just decided to flip the table. Like both Reinhardts, both tank players, like, I'm just going to play it, whatever. We're going to see every single tank in this game, it feels like. EMP on the front line, though, fantastic from Hybrid again. He's been so good with these EMPs. Easy team fight win for PEPS.
Yeah, catches SrPeakCheck as they come around that corner so that they're not able to pick up any momentum, and slowing it down now allows Team PEPS to set Cronus and Eclipse up in places where they're not going to be easily jumped upon by a Sombra or a Tracer, and also allows Naga and Hybrid to start to whittle away at the backline before SrPeakCheck can approach.
SrPeakCheck now walks into the fight. Have to deal with this nano boost. It was aggressive, and an Anthony was also there. Nice support on a Krondop and follow through from him. PEPS, another quick team fight win for them.
Danet as well actually gets spotted out and has to translocate out. He was in a really good position to EMP, but because that Nano Winston found too many targets, SrPeakCheck just called a full reset. And they're seeing, okay, they can't go Reinhardt against this dive composition. They now have to have another checkmate. Fly is going to be coming in on the Reaper to deal with Krondop in the close and personal.
And another swap to Zarya and that Reaper, like you said, and they walk through already to the point, just hitting that pressure. Continually moving this cart forward. Dana counter EMPs the dive onto PEPS. The beat also to overlay that damage that's happening from PEPS' side as Hybrid trying to build the EMP. Naga tries to drop a pulse bomb. Unfortunately, cannot hit it. Now no more ultimates for PEPS' side, but same for SrPeakCheck. They do have the Discord in the fights, but Krondop is taken incredibly low. Do they have the sustain to keep Krondop alive? He barely escapes to the mini health pack, but Fi wants that kill. Chases even further. It's Ghost and Dala to find Krondop and Cronus as they were falling back, and now Eclipse is gone. In SrPeakCheck, every time PEPS makes an adjustment, counterplays EMP from Hybrid at the very last second. Nobody else, though, could touch. SrPeakCheck will take round 1 with 1 minute and 22 seconds.
Knight to C6, Tracer to Reaper, and check to Team PEPS. SrPeakCheck looking very, very strong with their swaps that they're able to make. Like I said, when you're able to have such a flexible hero pool, it just makes it so much easier to be able to counter what your opponent throws at you.
Yeah, it's working out for them in Cloudy. Maybe he doesn't have to be like that best Reinhardt or Zarya player, doesn't have to be the best Diva player, as long as he's enabling his team, right? As long as he's giving his team that space required or bubbling the right targets. He doesn't necessarily need to have like the best tracking or whatever, as long as his overall gameplay and team communication is the same. I mean, why not? Just play whatever you want, right?
I mean, what's impressed me the most about SrPeakCheck at the moment is their willingness to actually swap. Right?
Yes.
A lot of the time we see these teams, they just want to brute force this composition, and SrPeakCheck in the past have been guilty of this too. They've been the Reinhardt, they've wanted to continue running the Reinhardt, and they've run the Reinhardt into a defeat. Just because the composition that they're playing, while it can work, it makes these fights infinitely more hard to actually be able to win, and it's disadvantages that you're piling onto your own shoulders. But by actually putting these changes into position, they're making Team PEPS change their composition and move out of their win conditions and comfort zone off these compositions that they've likely scrimmed for hours and hours and hours, understanding what SrPeakCheck are likely to run out with.
Pedal up top to look for the pick. Surely going to go back for the swap, but Moxie, like you mentioned, I mean, like, it seems like compared to last match where, oh yeah, it was just locking The same comp over and over again. These two teams constantly trying to counter each other. And I would say playing at a very similar level in terms of skill. PEPS sticking with that Sombra with the Pharah on their attack, Moxie.
Yeah, 15 seconds pass. They can press tab. They can see what SrPeakCheck are running out with. And it's a Reinhardt! And it's the Doomfist charge right side of Reinhardt. Oh, Cloudy.
That's not a good look for Cron up there, is it, Moxie? Not a good look.
This is the best possible answer. See a Doomfist charge.
Well, that's already a kill in the advantage on the defensive side for Cloudy, and Naga over the top right, trying to set up. Oh my god, you see the symmetric turrets almost just counter that Pharah in the sky. Naga does notice it, does shoot at least one off the wall though, and actually point presence is in favor of PEPS. The charge from Cloudy, a little bit of scare. Every time you hear that, it seems like PEPS are like panic mode as soon as that comes through. Cron up with a nice boop onto the back, but no boop off the map though. Fi does get the kill at the end of it. Krondop finds Dala. Two supports traded out so far. Krondop has to escape Fi, but he's really hard to. I mean, Fi on the Tracer has been playing so well. Now Cloudy all he has to do, try to save Ghost from the backline and let Ghost do whatever he wants to shoot the Pharah in the sky, heal his team up. I mean, you don't have Krondop just yet in the fight, although you're healthy. 2 minutes already off the clock.
Yeah, SrPeakCheck, remember, they're on the defense, so unless they actually get sent back to spawn the hard way, they can't swap their composition, which means they're stuck with Ghost on this Baptiste being the only hit scan, which is why we're seeing so much peel to make sure that this Bap survives to deal with the pharmacy.
He's on top of the turret at the moment. That's a solid spot to avoid the damage by trying to evade the Sombra on their side. Actually, oh my, what is this movement? Blinks out of there, no recall, then takes the symmetric teleporter there and back to the point. Now an EMP from Hybrid. It's been big before. Gets Ghost. Cloudy gets answered in, but Fi's trying to trade it back. However, doesn't look like he can just yet. Dandit trying to evade the damage from the top side. Cloudy does get onto Eclipse, but at what cost? Dandit's here with the Symmetra wall, but over the top, Naga surely can evade it, although played pretty well onto the backside. They don't need Cloudy necessarily because they can play around the ultimate of the Symmetra, although one tick on the board. Oh my god, so much damage onto Naga. Doesn't exactly find him, though. Dandit falls after the Symmetra turret does. Now, Cloudy and the rest of SrPeakCheck are coming in 4 versus 5. Hack comes through into Cloudy to prevent the charge, but it's in with the beat drop, and Dala finds Naga. Eclipse is down as well through that beat drop in Immortality Field. The supports enable that frontline pressure from SrPeakCheck to then come back into this point and make sure PEPS are stopped before they can get the full cap on first.
Support save it. The hack comes down onto Cloudy, so he's not going to be able to shield the barrage, but the healing and ultimate that comes out from Dala and the lamp from Ghost allow Cloudy to survive and keep pressuring Team PEPS back, and Hybrid is on to the Tracer just to try to be able to push into this backline and bait that lamp early so that Cloudy's a little bit squishier, but Naga got hacked and then piled upon by the Lucio and the Tracer.
This is how you do a forward hold. I mean, on the opposite map, we saw PEPS try to do one on Nepal, but couldn't successfully do it. SrPeakCheck doing it at the pillar. Although, Fi does get picked. Hybrid gets staggered late. PEPS swapping Naga over to the Echo. They're throwing everything, the kitchen sink and all, just to make sure they can get the win here, but they're still down a member. Cloudy on the right side looks to see where PEPS is going. Eclipse is hacked into the back line, but Dan is just evading the high ground. Doomfist ultimate lands towards the entire team of SrPeakCheck. Cloudy goes low. Ghost is still coming back into the fight, has to heal his team, keep them healthy, but he gets stickied by Fi. What a pulse bomb from him. Ghost also takes out Naga in the sky. Shatter still available from Cloudy, but it's just a cherry on the top. 2-man Shatter Fire Strike on top of it. SrPeakCheck are now up 2 on PEPS.
It's unthinkable to say that a Reinhardt composition is able to make a pharmacy swap. But what a Reinhardt composition. And calling it a Reinhardt composition is seriously underselling everyone else on this team. The amount of peel that went out to make sure that Ghost on that only hit scan that they have is alive to keep this pressure on that pharmacy. The fact as well that Cloudy gets to survive to deal with Krondop. Every time he tries to punch and you're able to countercharge it with your Reinhardt. Fi constantly able to keep that point in play as well all through, since the peel is there from Ghost off of Danette with those Symmetra turrets to make sure that they're up on the wall so that Naga's not able to just drop down onto that Baptiste. SrPeakCheck knew exactly what they were doing. There's a reason that they've been practicing things like this pharmacy counter composition, because they know it's going to be immensely strong for Twisted and Triple. They're going to have to beat it if they want to beat the teams at the top, so they were so well equipped to deal with it. when Team PEPS run it out.
Yeah. Obviously, SRP, like you said, they're just so strong at the moment, and this team is so fun, I bet, to play in too. Like these lineups where you just have a Reinhardt that you have to play with, you have a team that's all on the same page. I mean, I know mentally, I'm sure they're happy to be playing with this lineup, to be playing with SrPeakCheck, to be able to run them down. You know, to be honest, like for Peps' side, I saw Cronop talking a little on map number 1, map number 2, not as much. But listen, I'm always a big proponent, always a big fan of don't talk only when you're up, always talk. No matter what, if you're going to do a little bit of trash talk. But guys, we're going to short break. When we come back, we'll have them at number 3. We'll see if Peps can make the reverse sweep when we come back.
Tracer has quickly become one of the most popular heroes in high-level Overwatch 2. It takes insane mechanical skill, cerebral game sense, and ice in your veins to make impact plays with her. But these players make it look easy.
Maymon and Vestola are just playing off of each other perfectly.
W Maymon, by the way, found one who built that Transcendent. And a Pulse Bomb connects onto both Fuki and Turkey. W Maymon on this map, on Havana, truly has been next level.
And just as their eyes glance away, a Pulse Bomb connects to the back of their head. Kanale and Cookie hit the dirt. Rocket's trying. Rocket could be a hero in moments like these. Rocket saved the day again! Rocket's gonna chase him out too. Oh, and he Tracer gaps him. Yeah, Rocket's that guy right now.
Last chance if you want to get some drops, guys, ladies and gentlemen. The campaign will end on June 7th. Make sure to get your drops before that coveted June 7th comes up. I mean, obviously, you want to get whatever skins you're looking for, so make sure to stick around until then to get your skins in drops. Moxie, meanwhile, we have this matchup between SrPeakCheck and Team PEPS. Now, SrPeakCheck are up to over the fan favorite PEPS, and obviously I know there's a lot of support behind PEPS at the current moment. They could definitely rally behind their team and come back, and especially on the next map, which will be Havana. That seems to be their pick, in their opinion, to what could come back and counter SrPeakCheck.
We have seen Reinhardt compositions, however, work on Havana in the last couple of days. So, I mean, normally I would say, okay, absolutely, massive advantage to the team that can run a D.Va and a Winston. But I feel like I might have to eat my words if it's Cloudy playing the Reinhardt, because he's shown that he is just able to make this tank work no matter what meta, no matter what map. The OG is 100% here to stay and show us why you really do sometimes have to be concerned about a German swinging a very large rocket-powered hammer around.
It's a Finn playing a German. That's the interesting part too. It's a Finn playing a German. I love Finnish people. They might be some of the most fun in the world. But SrPeakCheck now, like we said, up to going to Havana, right? PEPS. Obviously, they can make the adjustments. They've shown previously they can. As long as they rally together, they can come back on Havana. Obviously, Blizzard World, you would think they'd be able to break first point, but that's a big deal. These guys couldn't even make it past first point on Blizzard World versus a Reinhardt composition with all of the counters in their playbook.
So the biggest thing for me actually is the stats, because Naga does the most amount of damage in the lobby. He does 9,159, but he only comes in with 10 eliminations to actually show for that a massive amount of damage that he outputs. And again, it goes down to the fact that he has that poke phase, sure, but he's never actually able to get close enough for the drop downs. Even when he swaps onto the Echo, he's not able to get close enough to go for that Echo circulation so that you can actually guarantee those kills. And again, it just comes down to how well that SrPeakCheck are making sure that that backline is safe. That now, when we move into Havana, we need to see the DPS from PEPS step it up so they can find that massive amount of damage, but that it leads to actual kills.
Yeah, I think that overall, you're 100% on the mark. I mean, for PEPS' side, going to Havana, you're going to rely on, a multitude of different things. If they can potentially get one composition, you think, like maybe one playstyle down, that could go in their favor versus SrPeakCheck. But it seems like at the time, it's similar to what we saw earlier. SrPeakCheck just really have what they want to play on lock at the moment, and as a team are playing super well, across the board. You got Fi, who has been popping off on Tracer. Danon, whenever he's on either the Symmetra or the Sombra, he's been playing very well with his utility. You have Cloudy, who is, let's be honest, LH Cloudy, I don't think there's anything more we need to say. And then both of their supports, you called that out. perfect beat drop timings, perfect Ant Matrix, Immortality fields, damage as well. Just overall, seems to be that SrPeakCheck are just firing on all cylinders.
Ghost, it felt like, never actually got baited into using Lamp early on, right? And that is immediately a massive tier of a hierarchy for a Baptiste player to be able to find themselves on, being able to use that Immortality field, which has such a costly cooldown. We've even seen Pulse Swarms now just being credited to burning out that Immortality field, and ultimate for a cooldown. Can you imagine? That's the trade-off that's actually worthwhile, but that's just how powerful Lamp can be in these situations where you really do need to be able to have that extra 25% health still there on your bar, especially for Reinhardt, because you can stand in that Lamp, have that 25% health guaranteed, and just get to swing away without having to worry about your shield.
Yeah, and I think for PEPS' side, Moxie, to maybe switch the narrative a little bit, I think for them, it seems to me like their highest win, or their highest chances of winning a fight seemed to be when Hybrid was like on the Sombra and he was getting some really big EMPs. I don't think we saw pretty much all of his EMPs get near maximum value. But definitely, that's like if that's your one saving grace, we need to see maybe a little bit more in the neutral game. Maybe need to see some more follow up on Hybrid. What do you think the reason is that they have been so heavily reliant on those EMPs to get teamfight wins?
Again, EMP deprives that Immortality field, and also the barrier too, right? When you're playing up against a Lucio, you really do go into that cat and mouse chase of the Sombra needing to hit the EMP onto the Lucio needing to hide from the ultimate so you can come in with that hero of the hour moment of using Sound Barrier to sustain everyone through EMP follow-up. But for Team PEPS, what they need to be able to do is play around Hybrid Sim TP if they want to be able to escape an awful spawn hold from SrPeakCheck.
PEPS now walk out of the spawn. They actually use a May wall too here, but look where LH Cloudy is. Throw is all the way at the back of the map. Immediately goes down, but the trades potentially could come through, but good movement from PEPS to avoid any mistakes, really. Cloudy's kind of just a bait in the back as the rest of your team could potentially fall in the front line, but in this situation, PEPS play perfectly.
Yeah, good movement, really good use of the lamp as well from Eclipse to make sure that Cloudy, if he does find a connection onto the charge, they're not actually going to get immediately killed, and Team PEPS are able to really quickly break out of not just the spawn hold, but also set themselves up in terms of ultimate cycling. Eclipse is about to be coming into that amp matrix, and Ghost is not actually going to be able to have one of his to allow SrPeakCheck to send the Rein in.
Ooh, fast teleport with the Symmetra TP goes to the inside of the room to stop the cart from pushing forward. This we're talking about, you can get 3 clean fights. I mean, SrPeakCheck are fine fighting here at the current moment, but they are pushed back on the side of Team PEPS, rather, as they try to push into the fight. Now, Ant Matrix from Eclipse gets that Immortality field gone. Cloudy takes so much damage from it, perfectly placed from him. Hybrid on the front line also finds Ghost, and maybe I was wrong, not exactly the clean fight there for SrPeakCheck. Yet again, another fight win for PEPS.
Yeah, SrPeakCheck wanting to take that fight as quick as possible so they're guaranteed another before that payload pushes. Also wanting to actually, because they know they're behind in ultimate so much, take a fight to try to match ultimate charge from Team PEPS so that Crandop and Cloudy can hit Shatter at the same time. But Eclipse is able to hit that Ant Matrix far faster than SrPeakCheck are able to turn around and deal with him, and as a result they lose too many plays through the window.
Now we're leading into the third fight of the first point of the map of Vanna. Now, charge comes through from Cloudy. Both Reinhardt's counter charged and a Mei ultimate. It connects onto Fi and Cloudy, forcing Dull's beat drop and goes to Ant Matrix early. So PEPS with their Symmetra wall could sustain potentially. Oh no, LH Cloudy's there. Finds Hybrid and Cronus, but look at Naga. The entire time he's pushing it in and he walls them off. Can they get there? Oh my god, what a back cap from Naga.
Oh, we're just cursed. We're just cursed this week, Dustin! Oh, back cap comes through on the Mei. SrPeakCheck, they notice it, but they just get hit by the Mei wall and they can do absolutely nothing but watch in horror as Team PEPS move through into B. And Crandop, he's got a Shatter. Cloudy's got a Shatter too. Who's gonna win?
We'll see. Crandop comes through the backside. Cloudy gets the first kill. Shatters a Mei wall. Cloudy shatters nothing either, so both Ryans do not get value out of their ultimates. Rather, the hammer itself from swinging. Charge comes through from Cloudy. Counter charge from Crandop, but it's into that Symmetra, and the fight is going on longer and longer as the Hybrid is getting more and more charged, but it's Cloudy and Dana to eventually chase down both Naga and the backline of PEPS. Hybrid really not able to find any kills with the damage output he's doing.
This was a fight win that SrPeakCheck needed. Now they've got control of the high ground. Now they can also try and put this additional pressure onto Team PEPS as they walk through from spawners. Oh, don't make me see it
replay.
again. The card, yeah, see, you can... Cloudy tries to go for the charge. He would have actually been able to tap onto it, but the Mei will actually stops the charge from connecting. And yeah, there it was.
Nice Mail here into the back line, into the freeze from the Blizzard. Crandop goes for the charge out of it, but he's booped away, and in fact, he potentially could fall. Immortality field used to keep him alive, though. Hybrid goes down, though. Naga does get 5, but not before Dan and the rest of SrPeakCheck chase down the rest of the members of PEPS.
Yeah, this is what happens when you're able to win these fights and set Symmetra utility up already. It really does start to chunk through Team PEPS as they walk through from these doors, because they don't have the luxury of being able to turn around and take them out. If they do, they turn their back to Crandop and he just gets a swing.
Oh, Crandop comes from the top, had a Shatter, but the Cloudy was ready with the shield up for it, and potentially counter it. They drop in the Mei wall. Crandop charges out of it, also has a Symmetra wall to play around, but really just trying to set up Hybrid's damage on the backside as PEPS' SrPeakCheck play a little bit split. Fi went all the way underneath the bridge to the side of the map, probably with a nice fire strike onto Naga. The Mei is removed now for PEPS. They can't wall off this choke. A beat drop engage comes through. Shatter from Crandop does not find value. In fact, it's Cloudy to discharge him after the Shatter is gone. Now a teleporter to avoid any more damage from LH Cloudy, but yet again, another stop for SrPeakCheck.
Team PEPS not going to have an ultimate either to try and zone SrPeakCheck off of this really annoying to break hold. As Team PEPS still wanting to play the Symmetra, wanting to be able to break through this initial poke phase that SrPeakCheck have. They have been able to find high ground as a result of it before in the past. Just trying to bait SrPeakCheck into maybe trying to guard the wrong angle, as there's the TP once more onto the high ground to drop down below.
But it's just the Lucio, Cronus, who took the teleporter. Everybody else stayed back as they beat drop now to engage. They're against Cloudy Shatter, though. They have Ant Matrix on the defensive side and a Symmetra wall to play around. Cloudy can play a little bit of the shield presence, waits on the right side, and Immortality Field gone, goes for the shatter, does not get value. Nice block from Krondop as the Symmetra wall falls. No more ultimates on the board, but it's Dandit who is high charge, allowing the rest of his team some more pressure, and Eclipse trying to avoid 5, but cannot for any longer. Pulse Bomb surely going to be safe for next fight. Krondop does get Cloudy, but they lost the team fight again. Now 43 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, Team PEPS unfortunately so far behind in terms of that shatter to equalize with Cloudy's. Krondop had no choice but to just hold the shield and try and save it for when the shatter comes through, so wasn't able to swing to build the ultimate up. They'll have it in this next fight, but they need to find a pick and soon. This is last fight for this team.
Walking through main again, feels like PEPS has been making the same play over and over again as we get a little side angle on Fi's Pulse Bomb in the back. Immortality Field used. May ultimate committed as well. Immortality Field is gone. Naga's Blizzard, unfortunately, does not get value besides splitting the team, so that's at least something, and actually getting the kill off of it with the Ant Matrix. It's ult combinations for them that work out for now, but Ghost trades it back. Eclipse is gone. You don't have that Baptiste healing, so Krondop will be lacking in that department. Also walks into these turrets on the inside, took half of his health and damage, and 5 finds Cronus. No more supports. Krondop is going to be left just alone. Has to shatter the Tracer to stop the damage. Naga still here on the carpet against an Ant Matrix. Come through from the high ground as Cloudy. Now onto the point, there's a May using the ice block, so that cooldown used. Naga also gets zoned back, wait for Eclipse to come back into the fight, but no ultimates here except Dala's beat drop, affording Cloudy the space to charge into the backline, removing Eclipse from the equation. But guess who's back? It's Cronus, who has built the beat drop. Could it save Krondop? His shield goes down to the Baptiste, who has been pestering it from the high ground. Ghost using the regenerative burst towards the car, has the sustain there, as well as Cloudy in that front line with the Symmetra wall. Nobody else from PEPS are here to touch in the streets phase. SrPeakCheck hold.
It's such an awkward position. That's probably the best word to describe where that payload stops when it goes into B. And again, that's just really good timing on Team SrPeakCheck's side, right? Yeah. To be able to make sure that it stops right where those Symmetra turrets are going to be at their absolute most annoying to handle. You saw what happened when Krondop just walks right past them. They chunk half of his health bar down so quickly. And even in that overtime fight, poor Cronus is forced to play around the point, but also deal with the Symmetra turrets that have been set up above his head. And as a result, isn't really there to allow Krondop, who has nothing to do but hold up his shield and hope that he's going to be able to keep his team alive, as everyone from the high ground on SrPeakCheck just continue to pepper in damage from an untouchable position.
You described it perfectly. The fight was just in such an awkward spot for PEPS. You know, really not getting past that choke as well should give the advantage SrPeakCheck on their attack. And, you know, I guess that all snowballed from when Naga picked off, was a Ghost on the high ground and then got the back cap. I mean, maybe they didn't expect to be in that position, but I could have very well seen SrPeakCheck holding first point if not for Naga's back cap.
Yeah, there's a couple of dominoes coming through, right? The fact that, again, that choke, and as a result, they had to use the Symmetra TP to walk out of those corners so that the Rhine on the defensive half doesn't get to just swing. Now, however, we could see the turnaround. If they're able to hold SrPeakCheck in the spawn and dwindle the time bank, PEPS can still walk away with this.
Oh, Cloudy charges Naga again, removes him from the lobby. Unfortunately, now there's a Reinhardt on your back line, and he is not letting you get any room towards that payload. That's already a team fight win because of a rando Nautica LH Cloudy charge.
Oh, sometimes Cloudy just feels like he's being loaded into a cannon and shot into Team PEPS. Yeah. But it finds so much value. Like, these charges, they're so thought through because Krondop isn't in a position to actually be able to counter-charge Cloudy and stun him out of the pin. And as a result, instantly that spawn hold that Team PEPS could have been able to rally around is broken.
Yeah, it may look silly, but it is definitely calculated from LH Cloudy. Now he just runs onto the back line. Immortality Field used, just still able to swing, then connect on the shatter. In fact, it's the kill onto Krondop. 3 minutes to go for this first point. 2 fight wins for SrPeakCheck.
Gorgeous shatter as well from Cloudy. Incredibly early on as well, connecting onto those members of Team PEPS. Naga is able to take down two before he gets taken down by Cloudy. But Team PEPS now are going to have to actually make a decision. Do they fast contest this? They actually do. They want to fight on A and build ultimates up to try and force SrPeakCheck back now that they're 2 members down.
Wait, but SrPeakCheck want to fight this, even though they're down 2 members, because they have the Lucio Taxi from spawn to come back with the Ant Matrix, and they remove the Immortality Field from Eclipse as he counter Ant Matrix, and the rest of SrPeakCheck are there with the follow-up damage. And unfortunately, maybe you called it, Moxie. Maybe a little bit too many ults you're down to take that fight as Cloudy gets a 3K to wrap it up.
Oh, and there goes your choke control for Team PEPS. This is why I was a little on the fence about them taking that fight. I know their members down, but like you said, they had the Lucio, and now Team PEPS are just going to have to use that Symmetra TP so early.
Wait, no? Krondop shatters and dies. Oh, man.
They got blocked.
This is not a good look for Krondop, sadly, this game. Now, Symmetra wall on both sides. Naga sprinting towards that payload, understanding how important the objective is, but he's lost his team to Cloudy on the backside, and this is very, very unfortunate for PEPS, it looks like. They can't even touch the payload. SrPeakCheck in the lower brackets are now above Team PEPS, and PEPS are eliminated from the tournament.
Yeah, again, like that decision of choosing to take that fight, yes, when their play is down, but that Lucius Peepers is just going to allow them to immediately be able to push forward. And you know, when you make that decision, you give up that choke that we've talked about. You give up that setup before a fight for the Mei to be able to wall someone as they come through, which was giving PEPS a serious cause for concern, was why they were having to TP into every single engagement with very little information of what they were TPing into, and allowing SrPeakCheck to see the TP and understand where exactly they're coming from, which gave LH Cloudy such an advantage in terms of that Rhyme v Rhyme matchup.
Yeah, there was so much going their way for SrPeakCheck's side, and 3 over PEPS is a great sign for them moving forward. You know, I do want to point out the little bit of trash talk, obviously, between Krondop and Cloudy. I think it's like my shtick at this point, Moxie. I feel like, you know, Krondop, I appreciate talking trash and maybe trying to say you're diffing Cloudy at points. I think it's really cool, and I think it's important in the scene to have a healthy conversation back and forth between players. And for Cloudy, I think he responded better than any other player could respond. Bro really said, you know, you just poked the bear. This is like the equivalent of Dylan Brooks I was talking about basketball. This probably shouldn't, but he's poking the bear. Krondop's like just poking Cloudy, like, hey, do something. And then Cloudy comes back, shatters them all, just hammers them all, really honestly diffed the entire team of PEPS by himself. And like I said, PEPS, fantastic players. But Cloudy and SrPeakCheck, dominant win for them, 3-0. Moving forward, man, I can't wait to talk to our interview guest, Moxie.
Do you know what? I may be the Brit in this duo, but sometimes it feels like you prefer spilling the tea more than I do. You live
Dude,
for this stuff.
You know what I'm known for, man. I was the type of guy, bro, whenever we played in the Burbank studios, and then there was a crowd, like the Shock, where we're playing against the Shock, and whenever their fangirls were cheering for them, when we beat Shock, man, I was just so happy, because everybody that went to the Burbank studio just watched their team lose. They spent like $100 to probably come out to the game in LA traffic, came out just to see their favorite team lose. I mean, that's got to be a great feeling. Also for SrPeakCheck, kind of similar thing. A lot of PEPS fans watching this game going home sad.
That's
honestly,
you poking the bear. That's 100% you poking the bear for Twitter interaction.
No. It's not even for... It's just saying what it is. Cloudy's got to be feeling good. We'll have to see what he's saying and how he feels after that matchup between them and PEPS. After the short break, we'll talk to Cloudy. See you in a bit.
As a really good play from Cloudy, just aggressively moving, brute forcing onto those members of Sovereigns. Finally, they're able to lock Natlocks down.
To get onto this, Anna goes for the charge, finds it! I mean, what more of an LH Cloudy situation can you get?
So Reapers or Reinhardt with shotguns, right?
Oh.
LH Cloudy is on DPS.
When did this happen? Wait, okay.
No, I mean, the thing is, like, Reinhardt is the best hero in the game, so I don't really understand what these people are doing playing other heroes.
Welcome back, everybody. SrPeakCheck just 3-0'd PEPS, and now we have the LH Cloudy himself for an interview. What's going on, Cloudy? How you feeling after that win?
Hello, I'm feeling pretty good. It's just a fun game. Enemy played a honorable comp and they lost honorably, so it was great.
So, were you expecting the mirror? Because we talked about it a little bit before when we were talking through the rosters, that Krondop, he's been working on his Reinhardt, but he's not really known for it. He's more known for like the Winston and the Hammond. Was it sort of expected that he would play the Rein that much this series?
Yeah, I mean, like every time I play him in ranked, he mirrors me. Every time he plays me in scrim, he mirrors me. And like we scrim team Peps, right? Probably like 2 times. We 7-0'd them 2 times, and they mirrored us Russ every time. So going into the series, I was like, surely they're not gonna play Russ. And then they played Russ, and then they tried not to play Russ, and then they still played Russ and lost. So I think I was pretty confused that they kept mirroring us, but I don't know. Happens.
I mean, like maybe that was their most confident comp that they could have played versus other teams, but yeah, definitely an interesting decision from them. But obviously, you know, there's a lot of things that go into their coaching staff, I'm sure. Meanwhile, for yours, I mean, what do you guys talk about before games? I mean, obviously, do you game plan for specific teams, or is it just Cloudy plays Rein, sometimes also plays Reaper?
I mean, I played at some Zarya D.Va today. It's just like we have a plan. Yeah. I was popping off on D.Va. I feel like that's the best 30 seconds of D.Va gameplay of my life. But well, it's just like we have a plan. Usually we play Rust, but when we can't play Rust, we have backup plan, and then we do backup plan and we go from there. So yeah.
So then, talking about playing the Rein, obviously the most interesting matchup for Reinhardt is against another Reinhardt when Shadow's in play for both of you. What goes into your mind when you know that there's Shadow on the other side, but you want to use yours too?
The thing is, like, I have this cheat code that I say, team don't get shattered. So if team gets shattered, that's their fault. So I don't really care about the enemy shatter, and I just look for my shatter. You know, if team gets shattered, it's not my problem. Like, I have good players in my team. Like, if you think about it, Mei shouldn't get shattered, Lucio don't get shattered, Bap don't get shattered, and Thunder can get shattered. No one else has permission to get shattered. You know?
Dude, you sound, not to be like anti-finisher. You sound exactly like Mosso, dude. Mosso's like, you know, why you guys get shattered? Why do you guys get booped or whatever? Why do you get booped off the map?
Yeah, exactly. Like, don't don't do that. Like,
just don't die. It's so easy.
The game is just easy when you don't die.
Dude, that easily explains why, like, you go for a lot of these charge plays, even when the other team has like a shatter, right? Like, you seem to just know the timing when to just charge in, and obviously, like you said, if your team's playing intelligently and avoiding the shatter actively, it doesn't matter if you go for a charge or not, right?
Yeah, I mean, because I believe when I play Reinhardt, I'm better than the enemy Reinhardt, so I just kind of do whatever. And the enemy has to react to me because I can outplay him, and like it doesn't matter if you have shatter or not. You can't change the way you play the game. Like, you should never be scared of enemy and rush mirror.
So, despite the rush mirror, I guess, Cloudy, when you guys play other compositions, you kind of touched on it earlier, but can you maybe elaborate what goes into thinking you want to either play the D.Va or the Zarya at times?
I have no idea. I just kind of free ball it in the corner.
So then, talking about freeballing it, obviously there's been 3 weeks downtime for the teams between qualifiers and playoffs. How's your team been working on anything specific to be able to counter a specific team at the moment, still in the tournament?
Well, we had a plan to beat Triple Esports. We lost 0-3, so that plan went out of the window. But we'll figure it out. We just adapt and freeball it. I think we'll be chill. It's all good.
Yeah, that's you guys kind of like working your way, just like slowly figuring it out as it goes.
Yeah. I mean, we had a plan. We practiced our plan for 3 weeks. It didn't work, so now we just walk into them and kill them. I think that's our plan for the future.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people talk about like the amount of, you know, scrim time, practice time, and all that stuff. How much are you guys preparing for these games? How many hours do you think you play per week, just with SrPeakCheck, and then also how much time you put into ranked and stuff? Well,
we scrim like 2 blocks every, like, we don't scrim that much as a team because we have other things. But like in ranked, I play like. Personally, I play like maybe 10 hours a day almost, and then scrim time like 2 to 4 hours, 5 times a week.
12 to 14 hours a day is basically what you're saying?
No. I said like 10 hours a day I personally play. Okay. I count the scrim times into personal time, not like, you know.
Oh, okay, got it.
You said that.
That's pretty good though. That's pretty good. Sorry, I can't do math, obviously. As you know, both Overwatch players, not a lot of math goes in our heads. But
let's just kind of go into them and see what happens.
Okay, so Cloudy, I mean, obviously, get that 3-0 victory. Now, making that lower bracket run. Is there any last words you want to say before we let you go, just to maybe lead on forward into tomorrow?
Get to enemy. Very good game. I think we'll win tomorrow. No problem. There's a couple teams in this tournament that are a problem, but we fix problem, so no problem.
Okay, no problem indeed. Thank you, Cloudy, for coming in for the chat. It's always a pleasure talking to you. I hope you have a great rest of your day and good luck in the tournament.
Thank you, man. You too.
That's Cloudy from SrPeakCheck, and awesome to see them do well so far in the tournament. Obviously not biased, but fantastic matchup. 3-0 over PEPS, and then obviously earlier on we had a very close game between Sheer Cold and Moxie. What a phenomenal first day of the playoffs.
I mean, I'm just super happy. I got to see Reinhardt. I got to see something a little bit off. And in fact, we've had an off-meta day. We had coming in and again proving that not always conforming to that meta is the best option for these teams. And then in that second time, we got Team PEPS versus SrPeakCheck, proving again that sometimes playing to your comfort picks, playing what you know you're able to play, is able to actually see yourself win that victory at the end of the day. But talking about victories, I believe we can have a look at the rest of our bracket and see which teams are going to be continuing on in this series. We already know that Twisted and Triple Esports are going to be going toe-to-toe, that EXO and are also going to be going toe-to-toe, but now we can see that Sheer Cold were actually able to come out victorious over Raspberry Racers in the match that we saw just now. SrPeakCheck are able to continue their run as well.
Rest in peace, Raspberry Racers and PEPS. Sheer Cold, I guess, from their match, I mean, you could tell those guys were do it. They were ready to go for that matchup, and obviously no underdogs, Moxie. That's very interesting. No underdogs won in the upper bracket. Twisted Minds, Triple Esports, Explosione, and all winning and being the higher seed. Now moving forward, we'll have to see if that trend continues moving on to tomorrow, in which tomorrow's games, or on May 30th rather, we have Twisted Minds versus Triple Esports. That matchup, Moxie, you were anticipating. That.
I'm looking forward to this one. I was so happy too, because they went toe-to-toe in regular season, but it wasn't broadcast. So this is the first time on stream that we're actually going to get to see these two teams go toe-to-toe. And you know what? I'm going to be so disappointed if we don't get to see the dogfight of either Labda, Yazan, or Turkey going head-to-head to see who is the best Pharah/Echo player, not just in EMEA, the region, just the world as a whole at the moment, because all three of those players are absolutely unparalleled when it comes to that hero.
So exciting. And, you know, on the other side of the world, in my territory, we have in North America the matchup between Twisted Minds, Timeless and Redbirds. That's going to be a matchup everybody's looking forward to in the upper bracket as North America kicks off their own playoffs. I think that'll be happening at 5 p.m. as you can see there. PDT, don't miss that, guys. It's coming up in a sec. Moxie, what can you say about North America so far? Obviously, we saw everybody in Pro-Am recently. Now we got the playoff bracket and also the regular season out of the way.
I mean, the question is, on some of these teams, have they been able to catch up with Wisp, who have been looking absolutely unstoppable? I think Wisp are the best embodiment of Path to Pro at the moment, where throughout every single run of Contenders, they've just kept improving and improving and improving, keeping that same core roster and making sure that everyone is just able to gel so much better. And as a result, they've had that same dominant streak that we've seen the likes of Twisted Minds pull off here in EMEA.
Well, that's it for us, guys. Make sure to use the hashtag OWPTP2023 if you ever want to see your tweet on broadcast or just to be involved in the conversation. We're always looking for you guys' tweets on social media. In the meantime, that's it for us today in EMEA. But like we said, at 5 p.m., make sure to come back for NA. So don't go anywhere. Sorry. In the meantime, we'll see you guys later for the North America broadcast. Has your music lately been sounding off? Melodies sounding out of tune? Shows ending without a swoon? Missing your beats? With no way to improve your feats? Well, just you wait until you get your hands on the brand new Overwatch Contenders Lucio skin! Obtaining such a masterpiece is as easy as connecting your Battle.net account to Twitch. After that, watching Overwatch Contenders will contribute to your drops progress, letting you claim each outstanding offer, including the luminescent and lustrous lime locks of Lucio, equipped with the latest and greatest hardware and software. The Overwatch Contenders Lucio skin will be sure to heighten your harmonies and fire up your fans.